Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
We are so honored to welcome the consecrants of 2021, formerly known as the consecrants of 2020. Linda, send them down. Ki mitzion tetze Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim. Ki mitzion tetze Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim. Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo, Torah le'amo Yisrael. Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo Yisrael. B'kedushato ki mitzion tetze Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim. Ki mitzion tetze Torah, u'devar Adonai miYerushalayim.
With so much to see and do, we can learn about the Torah and what it means to be a Jew. We ask God for peace and good health every day, and thank God for families and freedom to pray.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody. We start our service on page 124 in Mishkan Tefillah, the blue prayer book. And please give me your thoughts about the prayer book as we try this, especially with the hybrid during the pandemic. The top of page 124. We enter the sanctuary to welcome Shabbat. Within these walls, we sit surrounded by numberless generations. Our ancestors built the synagogue as a visible sign of God's presence in their midst. Throughout our long history and our endless wanderings, it has endured. A beacon of truth, love, and justice for all humanity. Its presence guided our ancestors to lives of righteousness, holding up to them a vision of their truest selves. Now we, in our turn, come into the sanctuary to affirm the sacredness of our lives. May we enter this place in peace. May holiness wrap around us as we cross its threshold. We earnest out the flaws within our human hearts, the harshness of the weak. Let these drop away at the door. In the brightness of Shabbat, let peace settle upon us as we lift our hearts in prayer. It's our great honor to welcome our teachers to the Bima as they light our Shabbat candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav metzivanu lehatlik ner Shel Shabbat.
For those who are able, we rise together for Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam
וקידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו. בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה וראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, מאותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן.
L'chaim.
Chaim.
We turn to page 127, 127. There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure, but what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand and wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if we care nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, and day of peace. We continue with Psalm 95 on page 130.
אשר בידו מחקרי ארץ, בתועפות הרים לו. אשר לא הים והוא עשהו, ביבשת ידיו יצרו. כי הוא אלוהינו ואנחנו אמר איתו
Welcome the Shabbat on page 138 with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shamor וזכור בדיבורך תשמיענו, אל המיוחד אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ולתפארת ולתהילה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לחנדוני לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו בני אלחקים, מקור הברכה מראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעלה נעשה במחשם בתחילה לחנודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לחנודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה התעוררי התעוררי כי באורך קומי אורי 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 שיר דברי כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה לחנודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לחנודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה.
We rise together to greet Shabbat HaMalkah.
בואי ושלום עטרת מלאכה בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי חלה לחנודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה לחנודי לקראת קלה פני שבת נקבלה.
The bottom of page 145. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways.
יתגדל ויתקדש שם רבה בעלמא תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון וביומייכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב מאמרו אמן יהי שמי רבה מברך לעלמא מולל מעלמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשם בריחו לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה תושבחתה ונחמתה תמירן בעלמא מאמרו Amen.
We rise together, page 146.
Am I awake? Am I prepared? Are you listening to my prayer? Can you hear my voice? Can you understand? Am I awake? Am I prepared?
There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all worlds, filling the universe with song. Nivarech, let us bless.
Baruchu et Adonai, hamevorer
We turn to the top of page 149. Praise you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way in which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the time and light, you guide the current of day into night. We miss those laughs. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise you, Adonai, our God, for whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, hamariv aravim. On the next page.
Ahavat olam beit Yisrael, amecha ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot, chukim u'mishpatim, otanu limadeta. Al kein Adonai Eloheinu, b'shochbeinu uvkumeinu, nasiach mechukecha, menismach medivrei Toratecha, ub'mitzvotecha, leolam ba'ed, ki hei mechayeinu, be'orech yameinu, ubahem nehegeh yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir mimenu le'olamim. Baruch ata Adonai, ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod, Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol vavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha, v'hayu hadevarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha, v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech uv'shochbecha uv'kumecha u'kshartam leot al yadecha v'hayu letotafot bein einecha uchtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
The top of page 157, 157. Standing on the parted shores of history, We still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land. The winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there's no way to get from here to there except by joining hands, marching together. Our song of freedom, redemption, our Michamocha 158.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש. נורא תהילות עושה פלא, נורא תהילות עושה פלא, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לבני משה ומרים. זה אלי אנו ואמרו, זה אלי אנו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. יאי די 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 די. יאי די 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 די. יאי די 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 די. יאי די 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 די.
161. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Our prayer for strength at night, our Hashkivenu 160.
Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Behamiteinu shomreinu lechayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu l'shalom, Mehamiteinu shomreinu
The top of page 163. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasted a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. We continue with Vishamru.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
The middle page 165. Prayer invites God's presence to suffuse our spirits, God's will to prevail in our lives. Prayer may not bring water to parched fields, nor mend a broken bridge, nor rebuild a ruined city. But prayer can water an arid soul, mend a broken heart, rebuild a weakened will. We rise together for tefillah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, האל הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי המתים. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
We turn to page 173 at the top. May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. We continue on the next page with Ritzeh.
Adonai Eloheinu be'amcha Yisrael u'tefilatam be'ahava tekabel u'tehil leratzo Tamid avodat Yisrael Yisrael Amecha El Karov Lechol Kor'af Enei Elafatecha V'choneinu Shefoch Ruchacha Betechesena Eineinu Beshuvcha LeTzion Perachamim Baruch Adonai HaMachazir Shechinato
We turn to page 179, and please join me. Grant us peace, your most precious gift, O eternal source of peace, and give us the will to proclaim its message to all the peoples of the earth. Bless our country as a safeguard of peace, its advocate among the nations. Make it tempered reign within our borders, health and happiness within our homes. Strengthen the bonds of friendship and fellowship among all the inhabitants of every land. Plant virtue in every soul, and may the love of your name hallow every home and every heart. Praise are you, Eternal One, who blesses our people with peace.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Betov be'einecha levarech et amcha Yisrael bechol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך
take a few moments for silent prayer.
Ratzon imre fi Ihul ratzon imre fi Behagion libi lefanecha Adonai tzuri vegoali Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditation of my heart be acceptable before you, O God, my rock and my redeemer. Oseh shalom bimromav, Uyaseh shalom aleinu, me'al kol Yisrael, be'imeru,
At this moment in our service, we take time to think of those in our community, those in need of healing of body and spirits. On this Shabbat, we take time to think of Linda Applebaum, Cindy Silberman Bailey, Sophia Berry, Katie Bates, Callie Bonds, Harold Seitlin, Deborah Chargois, Sunita Costa, Melvin Davis, Brett Drummond, Mary Ann Freeman, Buster and Eileen Griffith, Elaine Gross, Josie Hatfield, Evelyn Held, Patty Hirschberg, Wayne Lewis, Norma Jill Jacobson, Corey Kessler, Bart Kolber, Jerry Lapidus, Karen Mendel, Earl Rothstein, Liz Slive, Chrissy St. Charles, Brenda Weinstein, Jesse Weisberg, Elisa Rosemar Whitehead, and Susie Obson. For those who are with us tonight, if you're thinking of a loved one, a friend, someone who means so much to you, in need of healing, we invite you to share a name as my eyes meet yours. For those names mentioned out loud and for those names that are still in our hearts, we continue with our Misha Berach. As I taught last week, it's on page 371. Traditionally, we say a Misha Berach after a Torah service, so that's why it's found on page 371.
Source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, bless those in need of healing,
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
Shabbat Shalom.
We've been waiting, I think, 7 months for this moment, but we welcome to the Bima our consecration class, 5781. We welcome Lewis, Emily, Alec, Mackenzie, Avery, and Aaron. Please come on up, and our incredible teachers, Emily, Juliet, and Belle. And parents, you guys want to come up, take photos? We may not see it. Come on up. Guys, come over here. Come on, guys, we're going to go in front of come with me up here. I want all of the students to come and stand right around here. Hey, guys. Do you guys want to lead the service? No. Okay. I just want you to say, where's Canner? I am so proud of all of you. I know when you started this year back in the fall, it wasn't what we imagined learning about Judaism. But thanks to Emily and her incredible house, you guys came most Sundays, whether it was in the rain, whether it was warm, and you decided to study Judaism despite all of the difficult environment. And years from now, when you guys become bar mitzvah, I want you guys to remember this moment. That though it was a difficult year, you guys can accomplish so much. You'll learn from this moment, and I'm so proud of you of what you've done. And I want to give you some words in front of your Temple Emanu-El family as you begin this moment entering into the responsibility of a Jewish person. To study Torah, to live by Torah, and to ensure that our tradition continues to endure. With all of you, Canner and I, and Linda, where's Linda? We are so confident for the Jewish future. And I ask the congregation to please rise as we take our class before the Ark. Come on, guys, come here with me. Turn around. Come in, guys. Come on. Let these words which I command you this day be always in your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Source of all knowledge, teacher of Israel and all the world, you reveal yourself to us in the order and beauty of nature, in the call of conscience and the truths of our sacred tradition. The hearts and minds of children sense your presence. This religious instinct we would foster through education, that through knowledge it may gain strength, through worship take root in our souls, and through the deeds of mercy, justice, and loving kindness, ennoble our human life. Therefore, our parents, grandparents, to our Temple Emanu-El family, we bring your children into the house to study your teaching, to be among those who seek to know your ways and to follow the path of your mitzvot. We pray that our incredible children may grow in heart and minds. May the story of our people inspire all of them. May the truths of Torah guide him and her, and may the grandeur of the prophetic word of truth and righteousness enter their spirits, and for her lasting benediction. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshan mitzvotav v'tzivanu lagadel banim uvenot laTorah. For we praise you, eternal one, sovereign of the universe. You hallow us with your mitzvot. Command us to bring up our children to love Torah. And Canner and I want to give you a blessing that's been with our people for 4,000 years. And I ask a teacher to come as we place matalit over them as a canopy. And may these words forever bring you peace. May God bless you and forever protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka
forever be gracious to you and forever comfort you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shalom.
May God forever lift you up and forever bring you peace. Can hear at Son, may it be God's will. And we want to thank God for bringing us to this moment with Shechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
I think in 7 years, it's 7 years from Bar and Bat Mitzvah. 7 years, guys, turn around. You get to read from this Torah right here, but don't worry, you have time. But we want to give you a Torah for you guys to have at home. It's a tree of life that will always give you hope and peace. And Miss Linda will give you your Torah. We say Yashar Koach and Mazel Tov to our concentration class 5781. Mazel Tov. Please be seated. And for those for those who would like to leave before we go to the sermon, we give you a few moments now. Paul, can you give me? Shabbat Shalom, everybody. I think we do miss the noise, and it's good to have it back. Yesterday, the funeral was held for Ido Avigal. May his memory forever be a blessing. He was a 5-year-old boy from Sderot who was killed from a rocket attack. During his funeral, his father Asaf was giving the hepsed, the eulogy, in which he apologized for not having protected his son. And at this time, Hamas launched a rocket at Kiryat Gat, where the funeral was being held. The sirens went off. According to sources, Hamas's aim was not only attempting to kill more Jews, But this time, after they murdered a 5-year-old, they wanted to disrupt his funeral. I'm not just terrified for Israel, like for all of us. I am so angry. I'm horrified as to what we are watching. And I think at this moment, this past week, for any honest perspective, I think we'll be angry in different ways. I think nearly 2,000 unaimed rockets was sent to kill Jews. I think we're also angry at ourselves that in response to all of this behavior, a few Jews have engaged in absolute thuggish behavior, attacking innocent Arab Israelis in the streets. We're not supposed to do that. But we're still angry at those Arab Israelis who are attacking Jews and those who are burning down synagogues in Israel. I think we can be angry that we're concerned that the breakthrough peace accords with the Arab countries could be in jeopardy. I think finally our anger was coming from the West. The blood libel from Western media outlets. I'm angry at MSNBC. The other day they had an analysis who said there are less Hamas fighters than there are Americans who have engaged in genocide without any follow-up. MSNBC. I'm angry at Hollywood celebrities in the name of their absolute horrid political ideology of wokeness that are condemning our ancestral homeland, where they believe that Jews are the oppressor, the embodiment of white supremacy. We all are angry. I want to use this moment to talk about what's going on in Israel. I want to use this moment to explain what is really happening and perhaps how we can become more unified. First and foremost, I can't speak on Jewish Birmingham, but I can speak on behalf of Temple Emanu-El. We stand in solidarity with the state of Israel. For the past week, the terror organization Hamas has fired roughly 2,000 unguided rockets in the hope of striking any civilian target in Israel, including Tel Aviv. We have one congregant there who is studying who had to be in a bomb shelter. Thankfully, she has made her way north. We also want to be clear. There is absolutely no equivalence between fired unaimed rockets directly into civilian population centers and responding with aimed fire at terrorists who hide at civilian centers. Israel is the democratic and Jewish state, the unquestionable indigenous homeland of the Jewish people. Jews come from Judea, Arabs come from Arabia. That is a fact. We, the Jewish people, have every right to defend her citizens and her borders. I don't care what the media says. Susan Sarandon, Mark Ruffalo, or Trevor Noah of The Daily Show. We also call on the media to engage in moral clarity. Israel is the victim. Hamas is a terrorist organization dedicating to destroying Israel and murdering all Jews is the aggressor. For those college students, those protesting, those who believe Hamas are freedom fighters engaging in a self-defense campaign, please allow me to read a brief memo of their mission statement. The Jews were behind the French Revolution, the Communist Revolution, and were also responsible for the most revolutions we've heard about elsewhere. With their money, they have created secret organizations which spread throughout the world in order to destroy societies and to achieve the Zionist interests, such as the Freemasons, the Rotary and Lions Club. All these are destructive espionage organizations. With their money, they've been able to take control over the imperialist countries and push them to occupy many states in order to suck the riches of these countries and spread corruption there. Second, what we are watching on the mainstream media, CNN, the New York Times, MSNBC, the BBC, Sky News, the Washington Post, they are engaging in a blood libel. I want this Temple Emanu-El family to know that despite what you hear on television, this has nothing to do with the evictions of 4 homes in East Jerusalem. This has nothing to do with Al-Aqsa Mosque, or known as the Temple Mount. This is really about an eternal political struggle in Judea and Samaria, also known as the West Bank. Abu Mazen, who is Mahmoud Abbas, is serving his 16th or 17th year in his first term in office, which was supposed to be 4 years. He was doing poorly in the polls after he decided to have elections. Because he was doing bad, he canceled the elections. He was losing to his arch enemy, Hamas, the governing party in the Gaza Strip, but there are Hamasniks in the West Bank. 3 weeks ago, when he canceled the election, Abu Mazen knows how to rally up the base. Incitement. And what he did was targeted the most vulnerable members of the Arab society, teens in those 20s and 30s. He told them to start attacking Jews throughout the street and post it on the internet. And this became known as the TikTok Intifada. For those who don't know social media, these are videos. Intifada means uprising, but he wanted the Arab youth to engage in attacking and killing Jews. But Hamas wasn't going to allow the Palestinian Authority, Fatah, Abu Mazen's party, to get the upper hand. They wanted Arabs to buy a shekel worth 5 shekels a knife to kill Jews. They instructed them to arm the Al-Aqsa Mosque, filling it with fire grenades, grenades, smoke grenades, and stones and other weapons and ammunition. But Fatah, the Palestinian Authority, knew that Hamas was going to do this. They knew that Israel would enter the mosque, Israel would be into an escalation, but then Abbas knows that Israel would knock off their political rivals. Israel would also get slammed by the Western media and from those Jew-hating members in Congress, Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and a bunch of others, and AOC. This is all about power. And it's all about the destruction of the state of Israel and its eradication of the Jewish people. In 2005, we made the painful decision to leave parts of Gaza. What happened? They elected Hamas. We have offered deal after deal for peace. And the expression that goes for the Palestinians, they never miss an opportunity to miss an opportunity. In Bill Clinton's memoirs, he had the deal with Arafat. They were so close to peace, but he walked away. As Dr. Einat Wilf says, the crux here is that the conflict has always been the same. Arab rejection of Jewish self-determination in any borders. The conflict ends only when there's no longer Jewish self-determination. Israel is facing a war against terrorists, Hamas and Fatah. We, the Jewish people living in the diaspora, are facing a war against a blood libel. I am confident that the IDF can defend her borders. But we, Jews who are living in the diaspora in the comfort of this country, we are obligated to get into the fight. This blood libel says that Israel is a colonial occupier. This blood libel says that Israel persecutes its Arab citizens. And keep in mind that the majority of Arab Israelis were polled. They wouldn't live in any other country in the world but Israel. Arab Israelis are in the Supreme Court. Arab Israelis are colonels in the military. They're the chief surgeon at Hadassah Hospital. They are members of Knesset, the parliament. They are not marginalized, despite what you hear. This blood libel also says that Israel trains American police officers, and therefore Israel is responsible for the police brutality in this country. This blood libel says that Israel is a white supremacist state. This blood libel is on most college campuses. Again, it's on CNN, MSNBC, The Times, the BBC, Sky News. And it's a virus because we are allowing it legitimacy. We, the Jewish people. Barry Weiss, whom we hosted last week, said, "This virus can infect the entire population. And that's when the minds of the masses of people become contaminated. It does not end well for the Jewish people." And I think we, the Jewish people, must be the vaccine. And here is how we do it. First, love Israel. I'm not asking us to be a fan of the current government. You can criticize the current government in Israel, but find a way to love our indigenous homeland in your own capacities. Israel is the greatest miracle for the Jewish people in the modern era. I know it's complicated regarding its governmental structure, issues who is a Jew and other identity matters, but it is the indigenous homeland for us. Be a Zionist. And after all, our reform movement adapted in 1999 that we are a Zionist movement who believes in making Aliyah to the state of Israel. I want us to get informed about Israel. Read from Rabbi Gordis, Rabbi Hartman, and other great thinkers. For those who have cable or DirecTV, subscribe to I-24 News. Stay active about Israel. Now that this pandemic's coming to an end, visit there. Take your children there. Understand that Zionism is linked to our Judaism, in our prayers and in our Torah. Israel is the foundation of where Judaism grew, and therefore we are so connected to our land. Acknowledge that we're not going to win the battle of Israel over Facebook, Twitter, and social media. We're going to win when Jews of the diaspora love our homeland and care about it. We're going to win when we don't allow the mainstreamers to win. Change our priorities is necessary. Recently, students at the University of Michigan, my wife's alma mater, tried to pass a resolution condemning Jews in the Jewish state. Our response is simple. For those who are watching me back home, I know you care about the football team and the basketball team. Cancel your season tickets. What happens to our students is more important than what happens on the gridiron. Basketball teams and other sports, when these universities do it to our students, it isn't worth it. For me, my rabbinate, my Judaism, Israel is everything. I will never stop fighting for her, and I am a staunch, passionate Zionist. I've said this to my wife, and she knows that I believe it. I want all three of my kids serving in the IDF, a desk job, but nevertheless, I want them serving their country and living there. We need to care better. We need to realize what our priorities are, because this is going to happen again and again and again. And when our children, our grandchildren go off to college, when they go off to different cities, they're going to face this. Are we going to stop the blood libel? Or as Barry Weiss said, is the blood libel going to contaminate future Americans? And for that, I'm terrified. Israel can take care of Hamas and Islamic Jihad. Let's fight for Israel here. It's time. We pray for the peace and security for Israel. And we, Temple Emanu-El, salutes the brave men and women in the IDF, the police, and the first responders. You've had our back for nearly 70 plus years. It's our time to stick up for you more than ever. Our hearts will always be in the East. And tonight we count the number 48 with the Omer. And the only 48 that we are counting tonight is 1948. I ask the congregation to rise for the Omer.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu al sfirat ha'omer.
V'arba'im shehem shisha shavuot v'shisha yamim la'omer. Today is 48, which is 6 weeks and 7 days of the Omer. Remain standing. Aleinu 586.
Aleinu leshameach ladon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn to page 597. Yizkor, we remember. Remember our people who suffered and died so that we could be free and secure. May their memory be more than a distant shadow. For their dreams left unfulfilled and lives taken too soon, we remember. Remember our brothers and sisters whose sacrifice kept the dream of democracy and justice alive. May their courage be our inspiration and strength. For life cut short and vision unrealized, we remember. Remember the fallen of armed services, the victims of terror and tragedy. May the darkness of their loss not obscure the light of peace. They were in love with our land and in love with life. For the agony, the tears, the mothers and the fathers, for the children who were and for the children yet to be. We always will remember. On this Shabbat, we recall the yortzites of Jack Morris Adler, Louis A. Beck, Doris Brandon, Lily Ingle Bookstein, Morris Henry Cooper, Dr. Calvin Davenport Denny, Betty Rubel Elbert, Harry Erdberg, Aletta Fire, Irvin Lewis Gottlieb, Dave Hess, Rafe Hirsch, Ray Slaughter Jaffe, Abe Kessler, Philip C.C. Livich, Julian Lichter, Herman B. Litton, Dr. Martin S. Litvin, Malvin Meyer, William Michaelov, Rose Schwartz Mitnick, Lawrence Mullengarden, Mildred Overbach, Dorothy P. Perlman, Lena Pinkerson, Barbara Leah Schimmel, Merle Cotton Schultz, Sylvia Seidenman, Abraham Sugarman, Ben Lowell Siegel, Bambi Silver, Gertrude Simon, Fanny Slaughter, John W. Snow, Catherine Steiner, Robert Steinhauer, Rosa Phillips Wald, Wolf Weinberg, Abraham W. Wolf, Gustava Estroff Zavitz, and our heartfelt condolences in the recent passing of Patricia Patsy Cantor, mother of Dr. Julie Cantor Washko, Fred Lewis, uncle of Donna Eskenazi, Elena Stern, daughter of Igor and Mila Kishinevsky. May their memories forever be a blessing. We rise together as united community for Moorish Kaddish 598. Yikadal v'gadash shmei rabbah bi'omad divrach roteh v'amlich malchuteh b'chayachon uv'yomechon uv'kayet kol beit Yisrael b'gala u'izman kariv yimru.
Amen.
Yehei shmei rabbah mivarach li'olam olamei almaya yit barach v'ishtabach hit ba'ar hit romam hit naseh v'ita dar v'ita lev v'ita lal shmei dekudsha
Brichu.
Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechamata, damin ram yalma v'yimru, amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen. Osei shalom b'imromav, huya say shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael, v'yimru, amen.
Ose shalom b'imromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael me'imeru. Amen.
We conclude with Adon Olam, 625.
Adon olam asher malach בטרם כל יציר נברא לעת נשא בחפצו כל אזי מלך שמו נקרא ואחרי ככלות הכל לבדו ימלוך נורא והוא היה והוא הווה והוא יהיה בתפארה יא דה 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 יא דה יא דה 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 יא דה 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 יא דה 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 יא דה 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 יא דה יא דה 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 יא דה 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 והוא אחד ואין שני להמשילו להחמירה בלי ראשית בלי תכלית ולא העוז והמשרה והוא אלי בחי גואלי בצור חבלי בעת צרה והוא ניסי ומנוס לי מנת כוסי ביום הקרא ya da 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 ya da ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da ya da 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 ya da 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 בידו הפקיד רוחי בעת ישן ואיירה ועם רוחי גביעתי אדוני לי ולא אירא יא דה 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 יא דה יא דה 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 יא דה 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 יא דה 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 יא דה 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 יא דה יא דה 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 יא דה דה דה
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz b'tei avon. Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.